After age 60, your weight can actually predict your lifespan. Doctors say these three areas of your body should never be too thin. You've probably heard it said, the slimmer, the better. Especially as people get older, it's common to hear things like, you've got to eat less, take fewer pills, drop the weight, lower your blood pressure, control your blood sugar, and avoid cholesterol issues. The message? Thin is in, even in your golden years. But is that actually true? Let me tell you a story. There's a woman named Linda Thompson, a 67-year-old retired school teacher living in a quiet suburb of Portland, Oregon. Over the past few years, Linda has become a devoted follower of what she calls a clean living lifestyle. She's almost entirely plant-based, avoids processed foods, skips red meat, and practices yoga religiously. Her neighbors and friends constantly compliment her on her trim figure, saying she looks decades younger. Linda, you're aging in reverse, they'll tell her at book club meetings. But just 2 months ago, Linda was mopping her kitchen floor, something she's done countless times, when she slipped slightly and twisted her waist. She didn't fall hard, but the pain was intense. She couldn't stand upright. Her son rushed her to urgent care, and to everyone's surprise, she was diagnosed with a compression fracture of her lumbar spine. She underwent treatment, stayed in rehab, and slowly returned home. But not long after that, a minor stumble led to yet another fracture, this time in her hip. 2 hospitalizations in less than 6 months. For someone who seemed to be the picture of health, it just didn't add up. Even more puzzling, Linda's 97-year-old mother, Margaret, who still lives independently in upstate New York, doesn't follow any special diet. She enjoys steak once a week, has a sweet tooth, and believe it or not, is technically overweight. Yet Margaret walks unaided, cooks for herself, and has never had a major fracture in her life. So what's going on here? Why is Linda, slim, health-conscious, and seemingly doing everything right, battling fragile bones and repeat injuries, while her heavier mother is thriving? Could it be that being a bit heavier actually helps you live longer? Well, as it turns out, yes. Yes, it absolutely could. The real science behind weight and longevity. Modern medical research is starting to flip the script on what we thought we knew about weight and aging. A long-term study conducted by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, in collaboration with various universities, tracked over 5,000 seniors, mostly around the age of 80, for a staggering 20 years. The findings? Shocking to many. Those who were classified as mildly overweight actually had a lower mortality risk compared to those who were underweight or even ideal weight by traditional standards. Let's break that down. For every 1-point increase in BMI, body mass index, the risk of death decreased by up to 37%. For every 2 inches added to the waistline, mortality risk dropped by nearly 30%. Now, hold on, you might be thinking, wait a minute, I thought belly fat was dangerous. And you'd be right to a point. Excess abdominal fat can signal metabolic issues, but the key word here is moderation. It's not about becoming obese. It's about not being too thin. It's about maintaining a stronger, more resilient body as we age. Why a bit of extra weight helps after 60? So why does a little extra padding help? Think of it like this. Our bodies are like batteries. As we get older, our systems slow down. Digestion, metabolism, immune function, all these things start to sputter a bit. If you're too thin, your body doesn't have the reserves it needs when something goes wrong, whether it's the flu, a fall, or even a surgery. You need energy stores. You need muscle. You need fat to regulate temperature and protect your organs. That's why being just slightly overweight, particularly if you're muscle strong rather than flabby, can be incredibly protective in old age. People like Margaret, Linda's mother, may not be gym goers or dieters, but they tend to eat full meals, move regularly, and maintain natural muscle mass through daily activity. Margaret, for instance, has always kept a vegetable garden, walked to church every Sunday, and cooked 3 meals a day. She's never been obsessed with numbers, just living. The 3 body areas that should never be too thin. Doctors and geriatric specialists have identified 3 key muscle groups in the body that are absolutely critical for longevity, strength, and resilience. If you're losing mass in these areas, it's time to make changes. 1. Chest muscles, pectorals. You might think chest muscles are just for show, but they do a lot more than help your shirts fit better. Your pectoral muscles support your heart and lungs. When they weaken, your upper body loses structural stability and your cardiovascular function can suffer. Weak pecs can affect posture, breathing, and even your ability to recover from illness. Exercises like wall push-ups, light dumbbell presses, or even resistance bands can help seniors maintain upper body strength. Trust me, it's not about bench pressing at the gym. It's about maintaining your lifeline. 2. Gluteal muscles, your butt. That's right, your backside matters. The gluteal muscles are the largest muscle group in your body. When they shrink, your entire core stability is compromised. Research has shown that older adults with larger, stronger glutes are less likely to fall, and their cholesterol levels tend to be better, too. Simple squats, step-ups, and seated leg lifts can go a long way here. You don't have to run marathons. You just need to move that caboose. 3. Thigh muscles, quadriceps, and hamstrings. Strong legs equals strong heart. The thighs are vital for mobility, balance, and blood flow. Weak leg muscles are directly linked to higher risks of osteoporosis, hypertension, and heart disease. As we age, our muscle mass naturally declines, a condition called sarcopenia, and the legs usually go first. That's why walking, climbing stairs, biking, and light resistance training can literally keep you standing in later years. How to maintain a healthy weight and muscle after 60. By the time we hit our 60s, our metabolism slows down. We lose lean muscle and gain fat more easily. So managing weight becomes trickier than just cutting calories. But 2 main strategies can make all the difference. 1. Build, don't just burn. Muscle starts to decline at age 40, and after 70, it can drop fast. That's why strength training, even light strength training, is so important. Think resistance bands, yoga, lifting canned goods, or just walking with a weighted backpack. You're not trying to get ripped. You're just trying to keep your bones and muscles from vanishing. 2. Prioritize nutrition, not just calories. Older adults often lose appetite. They may skip meals or eat light, but that leads to nutrient deficiencies and frailty. You want high-quality protein, like eggs, fish, lean chicken, legumes, and dairy. Include healthy fats and whole grains. And don't forget to hydrate. Our thirst signals fade with age. Final thoughts. It's not about the number on the scale. After the age of 60, your weight isn't just about looks. It's not about what dress size you wear or what your BMI says on paper. It's about how much muscle and functional fat you've got to keep your body working. Being slightly plump but strong, with good nutrition and mobility, may be far healthier than being frail and thin. So, whether you're 65, 75, or 90, remember, don't obsess over shrinking your waistline. Focus on staying strong, eating real food, and keeping your body moving. Most of all, don't let age scare you into thinking you have to fade away. A little softness might just be your secret weapon for a long, vibrant life. If you found this helpful or know someone over 60 who needs to hear this, go ahead and share this article with them. And if you're reading this and thinking, maybe I need to dust off those walking shoes or pull out that blender, do it. You deserve a strong, joyful, well-fed life at every age. Red Heart Flex Biceps. Why gaining a little weight might actually help you live longer. A story from a 66-year-old vegetarian and the 101-year-old mom who eats everything. At 66 years old, Mrs. Eleanor Martin from Oregon is a woman of strong convictions. She deeply believes in the power of spiritual faith and the importance of clean, mindful living. About a decade ago, after attending a wellness retreat in Sedona and reading a stack of health books, she decided to adopt a strict vegetarian lifestyle. No meat, no dairy, no eggs, just plants, grains, nuts, and the occasional tofu dish. She drinks herbal teas, meditates daily, avoids processed food like it's poison, and hasn't touched sugar since Obama's second term. Her friends often joke that she's the healthiest one in the room. Old folks should eat a little less and stay clean inside and out, she often says. Many agree. After all, isn't being lean and disciplined the golden ticket to living longer? But over the past few months, Eleanor found herself visiting the local clinic more often than she'd like. It started with a dull ache in her lower back after scrubbing her kitchen floor one morning. She brushed it off as nothing more than a muscle tweak. But the pain didn't go away. After a week, she finally went in for an X-ray. The diagnosis stunned her. She had suffered compression fractures in 3 lumbar vertebrae. Her lower back bones had essentially crumpled. This wasn't just a freak accident. Her bone density scans over the years had shown a gradual decline, osteopenia creeping toward osteoporosis. Despite her clean living and plant-based diet, Eleanor's bones had grown increasingly fragile. After weeks in a back brace and physical therapy, she was barely back on her feet when she suffered another fall, this time just stepping off a curb, and fractured her hip. In sharp contrast stands her mother, Margaret, who recently turned 101. Still living in her own home in rural Montana, Margaret has a routine as American as apple pie, literally. She starts her morning with toast slathered in butter, 2 scrambled eggs, and black coffee with real cream. Lunch is usually a ham sandwich and potato chips. And dinner? Fried chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, and a glass of red wine. Dessert is non-negotiable. Margaret has always been a bit on the heavy side, sturdy, as she calls it, and never followed any special diet. Yet she remains surprisingly healthy. No high blood pressure, no diabetes, and she walks around her property daily with her old Labrador named Duke. How is it that Eleanor, the healthy one, is suffering from fractures and frailty, while her mother, plump and unbothered, keeps chugging along at 101? Does this mean being heavier can help you live longer? This story may seem anecdotal, but it reflects a growing body of research that challenges our long-standing assumptions about weight and aging. It's long been assumed that the thinner you are, the healthier you must be. But recent studies are poking holes in that logic. The Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention published a study in the European Heart Journal that completely upended traditional beliefs. Researchers examined over 5,000 individuals aged 80 and above. They tracked their weight, waist circumference, and mortality outcomes over the course of 20 years. Here's what they found. For every unit increase in BMI, body mass index, the risk of death from all causes actually decreased by 37%. And for every additional 5 centimeters, roughly 2 inches, of waist circumference, mortality risk dropped by 29%. Even more compelling, using a Mendelian randomization analysis, a fancy genetic statistical method, to eliminate bias, researchers concluded that individuals with a slightly higher BMI had a significantly lower risk of death, especially when BMI hovered around 28. Now, before you throw out your scale and reach for another slice of cheesecake, there's a catch. This benefit is most evident in the elderly, particularly those over 60 or 70. So what's going on here? It turns out that being just a little overweight in old age may actually provide a sort of protective cushion, literally and figuratively. A few extra pounds can act as energy reserves during illness, help maintain muscle mass, and protect fragile bones during falls. Think about it. When seniors get sick, be it pneumonia, cancer, or an infection, they often lose weight rapidly. If you're already on the lighter side, there's less buffer. On the flip side, slightly heavier seniors can ride out illness with more physical resilience. What's the danger of being too thin in old age? Contrary to popular belief, being too skinny later in life can come with serious risks. 1. Loss of muscle mass, sarcopenia. As we age, we naturally lose muscle, and being underweight accelerates this. Less muscle means weaker balance, more falls, and increased risk of fractures. 2. Bone loss. Without enough weight or proper nutrition, bones become brittle. This dramatically increases the risk of osteoporosis and the likelihood of injury from even minor falls. 3. Immune weakness. Undernourished seniors often lack the protein necessary to keep their immune system strong. This makes it harder to fight off infections and slows down recovery. 4. Fatigue and cold intolerance. With less fat and muscle, older adults get cold more easily and have less stamina. So ironically, seniors who obsess over being too thin might actually be increasing their risk of an early decline. The ideal BMI for older adults, it's not what you think. The traditional BMI chart, developed decades ago, doesn't account for age. Newer research suggests that for adults under 60, A BMI between 18.5 and 24.9 is generally considered healthy. But for adults over 60, the sweet spot may actually lie between 25 and 29.9, the very range previously labeled overweight. Again, we're talking about mild overweight, not obesity. And this doesn't mean carrying extra fat around the belly is good, quite the opposite. In fact, Dr. Jason Reynolds, a geriatrician at the Mayo Clinic, emphasizes that the best combination is a slightly higher BMI with a smaller waist. People in this group showed a 20% lower risk of death compared to their slimmer peers with bigger waists. This points to the importance of body composition. Visceral fat, fat around the abdomen, is still dangerous and closely linked to diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. So the goal is muscle, not belly fat. 3 areas of the body that should stay strong and meaty. Instead of fixating on weight loss, older adults should focus on building and maintaining muscle, especially in 3 key areas. 1. The chest, pectorals. Strong chest muscles support the upper body, aid posture, and even help breathing. Keeping these muscles toned improves circulation and cardiovascular health. Plus, it just feels empowering to still be able to carry groceries or lift a grandchild with confidence. 2. The hips and glutes. A study from Oxford University found that individuals with larger hip circumferences, as long as the waist remains relatively slim, had healthier blood lipid profiles and lower mortality. Strong glutes stabilize the spine and support good posture, making walking and climbing stairs easier and safer. 3. The thighs and legs. According to researchers at the Shanghai Jiao Tong University School of Medicine, stronger thigh muscles are linked to lower risk of hypertension and heart disease. Muscle in the legs helps regulate blood sugar, prevent falls, and support mobility. In general, healthy leg circumference ranges from 18 to 24 inches, about 46 to 60 centimeters. 2 practical strategies to maintain a healthy weight as you age. Keeping your body in balance becomes harder after 60, but not impossible. Here's how. 1. Regular physical activity. After age 40, muscle loss accelerates, and by 70 it can become significant. That's why strength training becomes essential, not bodybuilder level, but enough to maintain functional fitness. Walking, light weightlifting, resistance bands, tai chi, swimming, all are excellent ways to stay strong without damaging joints. 2. Nutrient-dense diet. Older adults often eat less because of reduced appetite, dental issues, or digestive discomfort. Unfortunately, that often leads to malnutrition. Focus on variety. Include high-quality protein, chicken, fish, eggs, Greek yogurt, healthy fats, avocados, nuts, complex carbs, sweet potatoes, whole grains, and lots of colorful veggies and fruits. And yes, a little indulgence now and then is just fine. Avoid overly restrictive diets. As Dr. Renee Thompson, a nutritionist specializing in aging, puts it, this is not the time for juice cleanses or skipping meals. Seniors need fuel to stay sharp, stable, and independent. In conclusion, the key takeaway here is that health in older age is not a one-size-fits-all formula. For people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, striving to maintain a slightly higher body weight, especially if it's mostly lean muscle and not belly fat, might be one of the smartest health decisions you can make. So, if you've always been worried about those few extra pounds, it might be time to shift your perspective. Just ask Eleanor Martin and her no-nonsense, fried chicken eating, century-old mother, Margaret. Sometimes longevity comes not from strict discipline, but from balance, warmth, and a bit more cushion than we thought.